Is everyone set up on Zoom so they can see Jeremy? When I stop talking, you'll be able to see him. Jeremy, say something so you.
Is my video taking over now?
It may be beneficial if they just pinned him as well.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to figure out, how to give those instructions.
So if they go to you and right click.
Right click, right?
Yeah, they'll be able to pin you.
And then it should stay in focus.
There we go. That's the way. Thank you, Marcus. Was everyone able to find that? So I'm seeing 3 little dots in the top right, or you can right click on Jeremy's thumbnail and then select pin. So pin to screen, and that will keep him in speaker view. All right, so maybe Jeremy, can you just review what you've already said?
Real quick, we just talked about, how the panels are very simple. You've got only 2 buttons on the front, your power button, that's that little red button in the left. Press it to turn them off, press it to turn them on. The blue light designates that it's on, it will be red when the display is off, and then next to that is the input button. So your input is just clicked through from the panel. I'm on HDMI 2, so I'm going to stop there. If you had a VGA input, that is listed as PC. And then depending on what configuration the classroom is, other media players or different devices would be one of those other inputs. For volume control and anything else within the menu, so that's kind of where we were at. You've got some video display settings that you can change. You have some audio balancing options. Set the clock, set on off times. So you can say turn on at 8 a.m., turn off at 4 p.m. That is a manual setting that needs to be done here. And then auto sleep on off means if I don't see a signal, I'm going to shut down and go to sleep after 5 minutes. Input is just another way to get to your inputs directly. Really probably not needed since you can just hit the input button on the front and or the input button on the remote to click through. And then you have a couple other settings at the bottom. Language just changes the language of the menu. Child lock allows you to put a remote key function in that you would hit the arrows on the remote to unlock. Reset resets the panel back to a factory state. Temperature settings, not something you should ever have to get into. It's really related to some color temperatures. Then you have your 3 HDMIs. You should have 2 touch inputs. Depending on when these panels were purchased, they would be either 4 points of touch or 10 points of touch. That would really be based on time of purchase. I'm going to assume that all of yours are 10 points of touch. So I just opened Mimeo Studio. I've now just taken control of a wired PC. So I have HDMI 2 plugged into my computer, the USB for touch cable plugged in, and now I can take full touch control of whatever software I'm using. Open up our tools. So 1, and then 5, and then if I take 10, we have our 10 points of touch, just to show a quick view of the touch. One thing I did want to look at a little bit was just this. One thing that can kind of be a bit different with this is all of your inputs are on the bottom. So if this is mounted on the wall, you do have to get underneath the panel to change any of those cable inputs. The manual is available online. It does kind of help to have a reference of where these inputs are when you're climbing underneath there. There we go. So gesture, if I flick up, we go page up, or page down. If I flick down, we go page up. All right, then we can grab our scroll ball with.
Right. I think, Jeremy, due to the brightness of this screen, we're just seeing white. Yeah.
Let's get out of the white screen and maybe
change the contrast. Or
let me see if I can grab the remote and lower the brightness down a little bit. Yeah. My camera is really picking up all of that
Brightness.
light.
So for those of you in your classroom who have the panel, it might be useful, you know, rather than Jeremy trying to kind of demo everything because that glare is a little cumbersome. As he's talking through the different steps, I don't know if you have one or two of you in the classroom, but try and find what he's talking about actually on your panel. That's a little better, Jeremy. At least I can see the blue part.
Hey, Jeremy, is screen share appropriate here?
These panels do not have any built-in screen sharing. It would require.
I'm saying through Zoom. Would that be more beneficial?
Through there. Let's go back to Zoom.
By the way, everyone, that other voice you're hearing is Marcus, and he's our trainer for the Mimeo View session. So he's also expert in all these areas. So that's why you're hearing those two voices. Great question.
Okay, so I switched it over, and just kind of what I was going through is the same things I just talked about in the manual, power, inputs, but then kind of talking about that the inputs are on the bottom of this panel. I'm assuming these are all 65, 70, or 75-inch panels. Then their inputs will be on the bottom. If there happens to be an 84-inch panel, those would be over on the side. Typically, you know, these are probably up and ready to go, but if you do need to get access into the cable inputs, they are below. Your USB B option here is your touch inputs. You should have the ability to use two, so if you ever needed to have two computers plugged in and be able to switch inputs and keep interactivity there without switching cables, that's why there are two ports there. From there, we were just looking at that. Think of this panel as a touch monitor. So if you hook up a Mac, if you hook up a PC, whatever that is, it's taking, whether it's a traditional laptop, desktop computer, or a touch device, and giving you that experience in a much larger form factor. You can use your pinch and zoom as you would on a touchscreen laptop. You can scroll up and down. Anything you can think of doing on a Windows touch device or Mac is a little bit different, is going to be handled with up to 10 touch points on the flat panel, just as you would be used to. And so that's really, I don't know, Allison, did we want to dive into any how to use with Studio interactivity question, or?
Well, I have a couple questions.
Yes,
so my first one to everyone participating on your side, do you have 4 points or 10 points of touch? 10. So Sophia's saying 10. Does everyone experience that 10 points of touch? Looks like it. Okay, and so my second question is, everyone has a device connected to their panel, correct? Most of you, I believe, are on desktop devices, desktop PCs. 10 points, excellent, Tracy, thank you. So you have desktop PCs that are connected with your panels, is that correct? Everyone, thumbs up, you're all connected? Okay, so my next question is, what setting are you using to display on your panel? Meaning, are you just displaying exactly what you're seeing on your PC, or are you extending your screen? Mirroring my PC. Okay, is everyone using that display setting so it's exactly what you see on your PC?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so Min says everyone is on duplicate screen settings. Okay, it's not detecting the box light as the second monitor. Gotcha. So Jeremy, a couple of questions for you that have come up in the chat. One is, and I'm sure everyone is having the same issues using a webcam or something that's focused on the panel. Just as you were focusing your webcam on the panel and we couldn't see anything because of the brightness, is there a display setting or function or something that is anyone else having that same issue? So I guess we're asking about ideal display resolution.
So for putting it on a webcam?
Yes, so either.
So that's going to be difficult because, I mean, think of without a high quality camera and software, really taking video of a display becomes difficult. And you may even run into things where, depending on what content you're throwing, you start getting artifacts because of the timing not syncing up correctly, and frame rates. But the best way, I mean, lowering brightness, like one thing we might see, this might make things worse or it might make things better, depending on how this camera I'm using works. I need to change my view to this. I'm going to shut the lights off in here and see if it gets any better.
And it looks like you all have that fluoro lighting above. So what you might end up with is ripples. And I see a lot of backlit windows open. So I'd be interested on your end to see, for those of you who are able to with mobile devices, to see what your panels actually look like when the mobile device is pointed at the panel. If possible, I think some of you maybe are on your desktops, but it looks like a couple of you have mobile.
Allison, does it work to take a phone camera and see what happens with that?
Right, so yeah, I mean, just to see what the view is on the iPad or any mobile device, I think would be helpful. Right, so the desktops don't have webcams. So for most of you, you're either going to be using the webcam tripod configuration that we talked about yesterday. So some of you, we were on a quick meeting yesterday, and some of you will be using the iPads with the swivels. So if you have those iPads, let's see what it looks like if you're able to. Okay. And Jeremy, specifically, there was a question about the display resolution because the PC is on 1280 by 800, but when I boot up my computer, it gives me a pop-up that recommends a different resolution number combination.
So the panels are 1080p, which is going to be looking for a 16:9 aspect ratio, and the preferred resolution would be 1920 by 1080, which is your 1080p resolution, or HD, if you will. There is, I think, is 1280 by 800. So
Right,
1280 by 1800 is a 1610 resolution. So I would expect in that there's probably some black bars on the screen not filling the image if you keep it at that resolution.
I wonder too if you could change the display on your device to go into contrast mode, if that would make a big difference.
What was that one?
So if you go to your settings, I think you already changed the brightness and color on your actual PC. So if you change the PC settings to I think you can invert them. Let's see. So you know what I mean? Like actually change the display settings on your personal device if that's going to make any difference. If you go into contrast mode or change the brightness on your device. Okay, so Min says when it was in 1280 by 800, it didn't even show the taskbar. So the changing of the resolution was helpful, and changing the brightness doesn't make a difference with your screen, apparently. Okay.
Yeah, so I'm pumping everything down on my screen, and you'll see it almost is going to become invisible other than that menu.
Which is just like a white, bright light.
Yeah, right now all you see is white. There is blue and icons to it. What would be good to look at a different video? Let me stop. Oh.
So we're asking if.
And so we'll see, so a different camera picks up that light a little bit differently, and I think you're seeing a little bit more through that than you were before.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
But it's still, let me see if I can, this is actually just coming out of my laptop right now. Let's see if I can.
So that's actually much better on my end.
I'm gonna see if I can prop that up right height for us. Another here.
All right, I'm curious what you're seeing on your end and what questions are coming up, because it looks like there's a lot of action happening behind the scenes. So keep your questions coming. This is the chance to play with things. So Sophia asks, I wonder if we screen share our PC while on Zoom with the kids, maybe they can then see what we are writing on the box light because it mirrors on the PC monitor.
And that is exactly true.
Okay. Oh, that's so much better, Jeremy. Whatever you just did there, you turned the lights back on.
That's using a different camera. Yeah, I turned the lights back on and I started using a different camera. So I had a USB similar to a Logitech webcam plugged in, and moved it over to my laptop's rear camera.
Okay.
And that shows, the difference in, depending on your camera, how it picks up what content you're looking at.
Much better.
The USB camera I was using, just to be completely honest, it was designed to mount on a flat panel and see the classroom and the people in front of it in like a conference setup. And so my best guess is it was not built to be staring at video.
Gotcha. Okay.
So now, from here, kind of like Sophia just asked, if I share my screen, I don't think I'm doing anymore, and I guess I can just do that from up here. Do that here. There we go. Okay. And so now, anything you do up on the panel would be shared back to anybody logged into the session, and I believe you can still leave up the thumbnail of my video. Now that is the one thing that's kind of a user configuration on that side is, do they pin your video full screen? Or is there the ability to flip-flop between the two?
Yeah. So Tracy's asking to clarify he is using his laptop camera now.
Yes.
Yes.
So,
And is
well,
everyone seeing his video and the screen share at the same time? Does everyone see those dual windows? Yes. Yes. Okay. Okay. So I'm wondering if we could get someone in the audience to try doing that on their end. If you could share your screen, if anyone is set up or configured to do that, I'd love to give you an opportunity to try and get that same setup that Jeremy just achieved with sharing his screen while having his video on. I don't know if anyone's set up to. Is anyone set up to do that? No?
Morning, Allison.
Hi, Min, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
The box lights are all connected to our desktops, which don't have webcams. So I brought a webcam and I can connect it if you would like, but everyone else should be on a different device that actually has a webcam.
Right. Right. So Jeremy, that's the, when I touch my screen, nothing happens. So Tracy, I am not seeing you. Where are you here? There you are. Okay, so I see your face. So do you want to unmute yourself and ask?
What I did is I walked over to my screen to try and touch it to see if I could then join the Zoom meeting. But when I touch my screen, nothing happens. The only thing I was able, yesterday was the first time I turned it on to when Jean and I got it hooked up, and I could, I could stop doing something and it would ask me a question, are you sure you want to do that? And I could touch the screen and say, yes, I'm sure I want to stop, and it would stop. But right now when I walk over to my screen and I touch it, nothing happens.
And you're not in extended desktop mode, correct?
I'm sorry, say that again.
Does your computer, I know everybody said it was mirroring, but is there any chance you have two monitors and it's set up in extended desktop mode?
No, I just hooked up to my phone and I'm hearing what is on my phone.
Okay, it broke up pretty bad on my side, but I think you said what you see on your desktop monitor is what you see on the panel monitor.
Yes, but I don't have a desktop. I have a Chromebook, if that matters.
I will have to check. I need to see what compatibility these have with Chromebooks. These were launched in 2014, right around the time those were just starting to come out, if not before. But it should be able to recognize it because these are treated as an HID device. So it thinks of them just like a keyboard mouse. So it should recognize it and function. Do you know what model Chromebook you have, and I can do some checking?
Off the top of my head, I don't, but if you tell me where to look that information up, I will do that.
So just on the bottom of your Chromebook should be a little safety sticker, if you will, should say whoever the manufacturer is and then have a model name. If you were able to just snap a picture of that and get it over to us, I could at least do a little bit more research and find out what we can or can't do with that model.
Okay, I will take a picture of that right now.
Jeremy, when you were touching the screen, it looked like to get response, you had to double tap, or, it wasn't quite just a single tap, right? Or am I?
Zoom was being a little bit funky for me, but I think that's because of what app was in focus at the time. So you see if I, open up PDF browser, page down, swipe up, push and hold on the document, you'll actually glide the document, and then we can move up a page. So it should be live. It'd be interesting to see if we just took a Windows machine and plugged it into that one. My expectation is it would probably work as expected. That's where I do think I need to do some checking on the Chrome compatibility with these. And actually,
Okay.
let me look if we have this information. So I don't see Chrome as a supported OS for this on the spec sheet, but like I said, let me do some checking because Chrome hadn't really became a standard in the market yet when this product was launched. So there might be an option for us to get that working a little bit better.
Okay, so it looks like we have, so Tracy, take a picture and send that information over to myself and I can forward that to Jeremy and we'll follow up on the Chromebook compatibility issue. Looks like we have a couple people who are setting themselves up to share their screen. So I think Sophia, Min, and Joseph, sounds like you're all set up. So Joseph, if you're set to go, I'm gonna go ahead and make you a co-host. And then you should be able to share your screen. So let's just practice this and see how it looks. Okay, so Jeremy, you may have to stop your screen share so Joseph can take over.
Oh, well, there we go.
Oh, there's Joseph's screen. And there you are. Okay, so I can pin, is everyone seeing Joseph in video as well as his screen share? Everyone seeing that okay? And now if you go ahead and click the three little dots on Joseph, you can pin him or make him the spotlight video, and then I can see everything, and the image is very, very clear for me. How's everyone else seeing that?
On my side, his video looks really good, and I mean, the screen share looks like you're right there.
It looks perfect.
And then screen share should, that should be stabler than anything as far as getting what's on your computer, whether it's on the panel or not, in front of whoever's in the online setting.
Right. So Cindy is saying no, but I'm not sure what you're saying no to. Cindy, are you able to unmute yourself and let me know what the no was for?
I could see his screen, but I couldn't see him.
Yeah, I had to scroll through quite a few people's videos and their users up on the top bar to find Joe, myself.
Okay.
Yeah, but this is really useful to understand the Zoom configuration and orientation so you can, for yourself, if you have 25 students, you're not going to see them all on one screen, right? You're going to have to scroll through them, but also to understand what the student view is, that they will have to either scroll through, or some of those specific functions, like pinning to screen, are going to be really helpful for your students to keep track of you speaking rather than it going back and forth between all the different speakers. So right now I see myself like on 4 different screens and in 4 different places. Okay. Did you find it, Cindy?
I didn't, but I'll play with it.
Okay, so, and also Zoom opens multiple windows. So you actually have one window for your participants. So the active call, which houses your participants, your chat, and the gallery view or spotlight view. And it's a separate window for screen share. So you might have multiple windows open. In that case, you'll want to look down at the little Zoom icon on your toolbar to click through those windows, if that makes sense. All right, so Joe, it looks like you are all set up. Does somebody else, it looked like Sophia was trying to set up, and Min, you were going to get yours. Does somebody else want to test their setup here, and I can make you a host so you can share your screen? Oh, Sophia, you're upside down in one. Are you signed in to the meeting twice, Sophia? Is that how you're doing it?
Yeah, I was trying to do, I get feedback, the Mimeo camera with the Zoom on the box light, but then I also have my laptop because I was trying to do the thing that Joe's doing, but I'm technology challenged right now.
Sophia, I think it's because you don't have a webcam and Joe does.
Well, but she's using her personal device as the webcam. No, you're good. This is perfect, Sophia. So,
She was pretty close. It looked like it.
yeah. So there you go. So you've got it rotated so you're not upside down. That's step one. And then we would pin your video with you in it. So if everybody could go ahead and I'm trying to figure this out myself. So if we pin Sophia to the, I'm going to make you a co-host as well, Sophia. And
Sophia starts sharing her screen.
yeah, so Sophia, if you share your screen, let's see what happens. All right, so I am, interesting. Okay. So what's everyone seeing here? Right.
I think helping them, if we can help them figure out the best way to put themselves as the video as the center when they're sharing, it would help a lot. Because I think just people are having trouble scrolling, knowing where to scroll through to find who's on video.
Right. So on my end, right. So on my end, I'm able to see Sophia's screen share in one window, and she's writing, did I do it? But I've pinned her video and I'm kind of seeing her from a right angle. And that's my speaker spotlight. Is everyone seeing those two windows? I can see it now. Yeah, I had the same issue, Melissa. Mine went black for a while as well, too. So Sophia, out of curiosity, what is this from the Mimeo view that we're seeing from the right angle? Okay, and then you shared your screen. You shared your desktop screen. Yeah. It's a lot of things going on here. All right, so I'm curious, Abby, Joseph, and who else did we talk to yesterday? Katrina, this setup from Sophia, how does that look to you? She's signed in on, you signed into the meeting twice, right, Sophia? Yes. All right. Okay, so April's saying once the screen share happens, it moved to the person talking and took off the video I pinned. I worry, how are we going to explain this to our youngest students? Great question. Okay, so April, that's what we were talking about last night too. Not using two devices because of our bandwidth connection, and that's certainly a consideration. Jeremy, do you have any input on bandwidth if you're using multiple devices but running the same Zoom meeting? So you're just signed into the same Zoom meeting on multiple devices?
You're just, you know, every camera feed is a extra bit of bandwidth taken up on their network. So really it seems that finding a right USB camera is the best option. One thing I actually did was hook up a MimioView, older version, not the current 4K version. But if I open up Mimio Studio and I hit the right button for MimioView, yes, allow. What I'll do, Allison, real quick is just scoot this back a second. So let's, because I only mentioned this because I heard they're gonna be talking later today about MimioView. The problem that I could see with trying to go this route is if you're using MimioView as your webcam within Zoom, you cannot be running Mimio Studio.
Right, and there's the issue, and this is what we were talking about yesterday, of audio, because their views are tethered to the desktop and the desktop is tethered to their desk. So there's a little bit of, a little bit of tethering issues.
And my guess is the desks aren't really in a good spot to manage what we're trying to manage, I guess.
Yeah. So
here's what, I'll share my screen again real quick. And so that is a MimioView being pointed at the screen, but it's creating an endless loop because it's feeding right back into itself. Now, if we were to not be using Mimio Studio, you can use the document camera as a traditional webcam, but it looks like we're using Studio, so we're kind of in a tough spot. We can look at, depending on what we're showing video of, you know, I can have Studio over here, I'm interacting, but I guess I need a Studio half screen as well. That, spin that, and I guess we can.
Right, so lots of conversation in the chat about not being able to use the view as a webcam. And we're going to, you know, our next 3 hours are really focused on the view. So we'll be able to really launch into that, and Mimeo Studio as well. If that's the first time you're hearing Mimeo Studio, don't worry, Marcus is going to spend some time on that next. So it looks like webcams are the way of the future for those of you not using Swivel, and that's this group right here. I've also seen a little bit of chat about Zoom. So Min, you have a great solution here about getting parents or guardians to pin the videos. And I think that's a really great, great option there if it works. I didn't know that it would continue or keep the pin. All right, so any other questions about configuration? Anybody else want to try? Try with a webcam or try to share their screen, test their setup here. Oh, that's great. Okay, so Min's testing it out with her kids. That's wonderful. So yeah, I think it's really important to teach the kids how they're using Zoom, and if you can have a parent pin them and then it sticks, that's a great tip. Thank you.
And a question, are they having the students share video as well, or are the students just viewing them?
Because I can't do anything.
I only ask because if you disable video for everybody else, it should always stay focused on the teacher.
Because it just won't go.
Right.
I can't make this.
Okay, I'm gonna mute Mary. I don't think she was talking to us. So April says they will be sharing it.
Okay.
So they will also share video? Yes. Okay. So Jeremy, did you have something about that?
I was just going to say, if they're not, or if there was a time where they didn't need to be and the teacher just really wanted everybody focused on them, there are some options where they can disable the video for other users as the host, which should then only allow that video focus on the teacher. Maybe help with kids that struggle with pinning or unpinning.
Yeah, there's certainly a lot of considerations here with focus and multiple tabs. All right, what else is going on your end, guys? What other questions do we have that Jeremy might be able to help troubleshoot? There's a lot of conversations. I think everyone's trying to work it out. How about audio? Did you talk about audio? You mentioned up and down, but do we actually have audio coming out of the panel?
We do. The panels do have, don't give the wrong info, but they do have 2 speakers. I'm just trying to look at, yeah, so 2 12-watt speakers. They actually do shoot out at the back. So from what I've seen, it looks like all of their systems are mounted on the wall. So that's actually going to work best for that scenario. The sound hits the wall, bounces, comes back out front. No real intelligible difference to the user. The only thing that I caution with using audio from the panel is if you're using a different device for your microphone, or that mic doesn't have good echo cancellation in it. So say you're using the mic on your computer, but the speakers on the panel, there's a chance you could have some feedback. And that really just takes some testing within your configuration depending on what other devices you're using. So there is audio there within the panel. Right now, I'm not using it because I have a USB speakerphone microphone plugged in.
Okay. So as long as you had the audio running from the panel, you would be hearing the Zoom responses from students through the panel.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm curious from Joseph, have you played around with the audio settings in Zoom, and where are you hearing the student responses from?
I have not played around with those settings yet. I guess I didn't get that far, but that's a good question that I'm thinking about now, because it seems like I would have to turn off the audio on my box light in order to not get an echo.
And that's likely going to be the case, Joseph, depending, and like I said, depending on your mic. Some laptop mics, some USB microphones have really good echo cancellation, right? So where they say, okay, I know this sound's coming from the same device, so I'm not going to pick it up, but not all of them do that.
Okay. I guess, yeah, huh.
And then at that point, if you're buying, you know, like I'm mentioning, I use something, it's called a Jabra, I forget the model, 510, and it's a little bit bigger than a hockey puck. But it has pretty good, decent volume, and it's a great mic pickup. And so I just use that one device rather than using the panel audio. In that case, if you're talking about if you still need to get audio to a full classroom as well as students at home, there are some different solutions to probably look at.
But you guys have microphones that are also tethered to your desktop, is that correct? But
We
you're going
do.
You're
Yeah,
going to have a mic attached to the webcam as well, right?
We have the webcams that we've ordered, or at least one that I ordered and suggested people ordering, has a microphone built into it. So if we have that nearby, it should be able to pick up our voices.
And that, you know, those types, you might be able to create a pretty good experience, Joe, with using the panel audio still, because a lot of the webcam mics have some good noise cancellation built in.
Okay.
I
guess those are supposed to come today. I guess that'll just be a matter of testing that part out.
Yeah, and I mean, just what you're going to have to do is when you go in and start the Zoom call, you have the option to connect via computer audio or dial in, right? And when you do computer audio, it's just making sure you choose the correct microphone, correct speaker, and then in your video, correct camera option that you want your computer to use.
Right.
It should see that. I think the panel is seen as Magic HDMI in your speaker settings.
Okay.
So then are they going to want to disconnect their other microphone or not have it running and only use the webcam microphone?
That's what I was planning. That's what I was planning on doing, but
Yeah, you're gonna have to play around, I think, with that a little bit and just make sure, you know, test in the Zoom call that you're not getting echo, and, you know, if you are logged in with a different, or you've dialed in for your audio, that you have one muted so you don't get that extreme echo.
okay.
All right, guys, so we're winding down. Any other questions for Jeremy, our product guru, our panel guru here? No. No. Okay. Well, so we have this session recorded, so I'll share it with you. I'm going to add it to that Google site with all the recordings on it. So hopefully you have that site. Barbara sent it out. You can just go back and listen to any of the recordings or any of the trainings that we've done. I'd just like to take an opportunity to thank you, Jeremy. These are a model of panels that I don't have any experience with, so I really appreciate Jeremy spending the time in troubleshooting and just making sure that it is an authentic training session for you all, because he's the one who has the same model of panels. So any final questions for Jeremy? No? Okay.
And it was my pleasure, Allison. And if you have any other questions that pop up throughout this whole process as you guys are going through it, please feel free to reach out to me. You know, if it's something big, they really need some immediate help, you can, you know, give me their contact info and I can reach out directly for anything to really keep things moving. I'm happy to help. I love this stuff. Questions are great. So if I can't find the answer, I will do my best to find someone that can.
And I will vouch for that. Jeremy is probably the quickest email responder I've ever seen. So I will certainly vouch for that. And I know you guys still have some outstanding pieces. You're still waiting for the webcams to come in. So as you start putting things together, if there are still questions and issues, please, please, please feel free to reach out and send an email. All right, folks, so I'm going to end this meeting, and I think most of you are probably going to be on the Mimeo View meeting with Marcus. So thanks again, Jeremy, and take care. Have a great rest of your day. And everyone, I'll see you in the other Zoom meeting.